Expectations of student athletes. When an athlete decides to go out for a sport, there's often a tryout process. This begins the first day as dictated by the CIF Season of Sport calendar. In order to try out, athletic clearance from the athletic department must be granted. Many times an athlete will have to attend a new athlete and parent meeting, but watching this video takes care of that requirement. All tryouts have a minimum 3-day tryout process. There are 3 consecutive days at the beginning of that sports calendar. If an athlete misses a tryout, it can be held against them. A tryout is essentially a job interview, and if you miss that interview, it is unlikely that you will get that job. If an athlete knows that they will miss a tryout day, they should contact their coach ahead of time to make arrangements. Many times an athlete will be issued uniform or equipment for their sport. All the equipment and uniforms issued to the student athlete is the property of Lodi High School and Lodi Unified School District. As such, please treat your equipment and uniforms with respect. You are responsible to pay for lost or damaged equipment or uniforms, and if you don't return them at the end of the season, you will be issued a money due. Return all equipment and uniforms issued to you immediately at the conclusion of your season so that you are not issued that fine. Expectations of athletes. Athletes are expected to participate both in practice and in competition. They need to understand that athletics is a segment of the educational program, and as such, school will always come first. They need to show good sportsmanship. Athletes need to be part of the team. They need to come ready to play. They need to respect both their peers, their coaches, and the athletes which they are competing against. They need to show dedication to the team, and they have to have a realistic perspective. They need to report all injuries, and if they are injured, they're going to be removed from the PE class. They also need to realize that there's a dress code tied specifically to athletics, and it mirrors that of the school's dress code. Student athlete conduct. Be aware that substance abuse, including vaping and e-cigarettes, along with inappropriate activity, results in forfeit of rewards, social probation, and immediate removal from the team. Performance-enhancing drugs, initiations, and hazing are also considered forms of inappropriate activity and will be dealt with through forfeiting of awards, social probation, and removal from the team. Right now, we have one campus supervisor to monitor the locker room, and as such, students need to behave appropriately in those spaces or they will be closed after school and student athletes will have to carry around their gear in a bag. Athletes also need to be aware that there are young ears around, and as such, they need to watch their language both during a game and at practice. If they show unethical behavior in or out of the classroom, coaches may and often do deal with this during the sports season. Alcohol's effect on student athletes and the Center for Drug-Free Communities. Drinking to intoxication can negate up to 14 days of training effect. It hinders recovery. An athlete is twice as likely to become injured. It can slow the reaction time for 12 hours after a consumption, and getting caught or arrested for underage drinking ruins collegiate opportunities and careers. As such, the athletic department takes drinking and drugs very seriously. Social networking and student athletes. Lodi High School respects the rights of its students to use social media. However, athletes need to understand the need to exercise care in setting appropriate boundaries between personal and public online behavior. They also need to understand what may seem private often becomes public in the digital world. For the best practice for social media use, be aware that privacy settings are not foolproof. Student athletes should avoid posting confidential information, and they need to avoid unprofessional public profiles. They need to avoid posting illegal activities. They need to avoid bullying or threats of violence, and they need to avoid lying, cheating, and plagiarizing online. If it becomes an issue online and it is brought to the school or the athletic department's attention, they can create consequences for their position on the team.